There's a moment almost everyone has experienced in a group conversation. The conversation moves quickly, voices overlap, someone makes a joke, and three people are already laughing before you have even finished forming the thought in your head. And there, at the edge of the group, is that person who is following everything, nodding, present, but quiet. It is not disinterest. It is not coldness. It's something almost no one knows how to explain properly, not even the people who live it every day. From the outside, it seems simple. The person does not have much to say. But on the inside, the exact opposite may be happening. A mind that is full, processing everything, just silently. Maybe you've been that person. Maybe you've sat in a room full of people you genuinely like and still found nothing to say at the exact second when everyone else had something to say. And later, in the car or already in bed, the sentence you wanted to say finally appears. Too late. Always too late. People think being quiet means there's less happening inside. Usually, it's the opposite. Imagine a family dinner. Everyone is talking at the same time, one story piling on top of another. One person sits there, listening to every word, watching how others react, noticing who was interrupted and who didn't even care. They are not disconnected. They're processing more than anyone else at that table. It just doesn't come out as sound. Or imagine the first week at a new job. Everyone introduces themselves quickly, easily, a little loudly, the way people do when they want to seem friendly. And then there's the new person who answers every question carefully, as if every word needs to earn the right to leave their mouth. The coworkers go home and tell their partner, the new person is kind of hard to figure out. What they do not see is the version of that same person who 3 weeks later, when they finally trust the environment, talks for 20 minutes straight about something that truly matters to them. It is hard to explain, but they're not trying to be distant. They're just waiting to feel safe enough not to be. There's also the scene in a group of friends when someone asks for everyone's opinion about something and everyone answers quickly, almost at the same time, and the quiet person is there with a formed opinion, only slower, more careful. By the time they finally open their mouth, the conversation has already moved 3 topics ahead. They swallow the sentence. They save it for another time that may never come. And then there's that small moment, the one that hurts more than it seems. Someone says, "You're so quiet," in front of everyone, as if it were a fact being announced and not a question being asked. Suddenly, the person feels even quieter. Every word they could say goes through a second round of filtering before coming out. Better to wait. Better not to risk it. Sometimes it happens in a family WhatsApp group, where everyone sends 1-minute voice messages and they only read in silence, thinking of a reply that never gets sent. Sometimes it happens in a work meeting, where the question, "Does anyone have anything to add?" always comes too quickly before the idea is ready to be said out loud. Most people read that silence as simple shyness, or worse, as coldness, arrogance, disinterest. He doesn't talk because he has nothing to say. She's kind of dry. Does he not like us? Does she think she is better than everyone else? Some people even think it is drama, that the person is playing hard to get, waiting to be pulled into the conversation. Others think it is simply a lack of personality, as if the person who talks more automatically has more substance. But maybe it's not that simple. They aren't cold, not rude, not empty, just quiet. Maybe that person was about to say something, but the subject had already changed. It's not that they had nothing to add, it's that the moment passed too quickly, and they were not fast enough to enter it, or they didn't want to compete for a space that always seemed already occupied by someone else. Some people talk to connect. Others listen first to feel safe. For someone who doesn't speak much, conversation is not the place where the thought is formed, it's the place where it arrives after it has already been formed. While one person talks to discover what they think, the other needs to discover what they think before speaking. It's not a lack of content, it's a different order of things. Think of 2 people processing the same information. One processes out loud, testing ideas while speaking, adjusting along the way. The other processes internally, silently, and only speaks when the thought is more or less ready. In a fast conversation, the first person seems to have more to say, but that does not mean they have more depth. It only means they process in a more visible way. This also explains why some quiet people write long, elaborate messages, but freeze when trying to say the same thing out loud. The time between thinking and formulating preserves everything. The pressure to answer immediately in real time takes that space away. People assume this is shyness, period. Sometimes it is, but shyness is only one room in a much larger house. Some people are quiet because they are shy, that tight feeling in the chest before speaking in public, even with people they know well. For them, every group conversation has a built-in cost, and they are always calculating whether what they want to say is worth paying that price. Others are quiet because they take time to trust, not because they take time to think. Put a stranger in front of them, and the answer comes in short sentences. Put someone they have known for years, someone who has already proven that they will not laugh at an idea before it has fully formed, that same person becomes almost unrecognizable, funny, sharp, talkative, alive. The people who only know the first version think that is the whole person. It almost never is. Then there are those who are not shy or distrustful. They're just allergic to shallow conversation. Ask them about the weather, and the answer comes in 3 words. Ask what they really think about something that matters, and suddenly an entire person appears, someone who was waiting for the right question, not the easy one. And then there are the observers, the ones who prefer to understand the environment before taking up space in it. They may seem quiet in a group, but with the right person, they're completely different. They are often the first to notice when someone is upset, when the mood in the room is shifted, when a joke did not land well. Things people who are busy talking simply do not notice. For some, it comes from the fear of being misunderstood. They have tried to explain themselves before, and the explanation came out wrong, so it feels safer to keep it inside. They carry the memory of a time when they said something with good intentions and were understood the wrong way, and that stays with them. For others, it is simply a way of preserving energy. Shallow conversation is tiring, and they choose where to spend their words. It's not antisocial, it's selective. They prefer a 1-hour conversation with one person over 2 hours moving between 10. And then there are those who take time to fit in, not because they don't want to belong, but because they need to feel the rhythm of the group before entering it. They arrive somewhere new and spend the first few weeks observing more than participating, not because they don't want to, but because entering too quickly has never felt safe. And there is the exhaustion of being explained incorrectly over and over again by people who never truly ask to understand. There is the silent effort of trying to seem normal in a room where normal means speaking more. Maybe this is not the right moment to speak. That thought crosses their mind more often than anyone on the outside could imagine. And right after it comes another one. What if this comes out wrong? They hear the conversation, they follow everything, but inside they are thinking, do I really need to add something here? They smile, nod, and pretend it did not feel uncomfortable. No one sees the effort behind the silence. There's also a specific kind of loneliness in this, the feeling of being surrounded by people and still feeling slightly distant, as if there were a thin pane of glass between you and the conversation. It's not that they don't want to be part of it, it's that being part of it, the way everyone else does it, has never felt natural. And there's the weight of being compared to siblings, classmates, cousins who talk more. Why can't you be more like him? As if there were only one correct way to be present in a room. But their silence doesn't always mean discomfort. Sometimes it means they're paying attention, with an intensity that people who talk all the time simply don't have the space to have. Maybe it was never about having nothing to say. Maybe it was always about needing the right space, the right person, the right moment to finally say it. Speaking little is not absence. It is selectiveness. It is caution. It is depth waiting for the right place to appear. And maybe what looked like distance from far away is actually the opposite. Someone paying so much attention that they forgot to speak. They are not cold, not rude, not empty, just quiet. And they need time to understand the environment, time to trust, time to feel comfortable. When that time finally comes, they show who they really are. If this sounds like someone you know, or maybe like yourself, leave a comment saying which part felt the most real. And if you want to understand more about the patterns people carry inside, subscribe to Everyday Psychology so you can always stay updated with the new content.